Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Real Music Talks. The Real Music Talks is very much like the Real Music Show, bringing you closer to the artists and creators you love, but in a shorter, more accessible format. Today's guest is my good friend and drummer, Callum Smith. How you doing, Callum?
Yeah, man. All good. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Obviously, it's been a bit of a difficult year, but we're getting by. So I wanted to start with one of my earlier memories of when we met. So
Cool.
we were at the Orbital Centre in Swindon, right? And our dads used to be pals, and I think they still are. And
Yeah.
I do remember we were talking about what we were getting for Christmas, right? And I remember I was getting a Mapex drum pedal, and you were getting some Sabian B8 cymbals. This was back like
Yeah.
13 years ago, and at that point, your favorite band was the Foo Fighters. You loved Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, and I remember you being the hardest hitting drummer in Swindon.
Yeah.
Uh, so I wanted you to talk about your journey from then until where you are now.
Sweet. Well, been loving it. I mean, what? I've been living in London, 5 years now? So started drumming when I was 10. Um, and that sort of happened by accident, really. So this like percussion roadshow came into primary school.
Right,
So
okay.
yeah, it was I forgot who the three drummers were, man, but it was literally just kick, snare, hats, and I was going mental at the back. I got told to sit down. I was like 10. I was just going mental. I was like, what is this? And I remember running over. I was like, oh, I want to play drums. My mum was just like, what? Because I wasn't very well I wasn't very well coordinated. Like even my writing, I can't write well still. I type everything.
Yeah.
Um, and even though I love football, I was told you're not a good football player, so I played rugby instead. I was all right, but my coordination was never good. So waited a little bit. Um, and like obviously, my dad, he collects records and still does. For Christmas, he just got a ton of LP, and then he went out and bought more. So like I was just flicking through his record collection. And that's how I got into music as well. Listening to like the Jam, the Clash, Police, Echo and the Bunnymen, obviously the Beatles. Um, so there, that helped sort of getting that. Oh, I know what music is now, or I know more about music. Um, so I kept banging on about his drum kit for Christmas. But a good friend of mine who I grew up with since I was about 3 or 4, he had one in the house. So I had like a trial drum lesson,
Right.
and I was proper into it. And then my mum goes, "Oh, we'll try it again." And I went back and I just remembered it all. And I practice on pillows, and I still do now. I tell my students to practice on pillows. I think they're great. It's a little bit tougher, but you have to use your imagination as well, especially if you're that young. Sort of like thinking where the kit would be on the pillow.
Mm.
And I went back to the lesson, and the guy was like, "Wow, you remember the names, and you could play the simple, eighth note rock beat." And my mum was like, "Okay, right." So yeah, the drum kit came, and I was on it all Christmas Day, and I think from uh year 6 to year 7, I was practicing 2 hours a day. I'd cycle home and go straight on the drums. As soon as it got dark, I had to come off. Um, and I wouldn't even do my schoolwork until I could play them. So, um, yeah, that was like a main priority. Um, so yeah, and then yeah, school was a big one with music. So obviously you knew about the school. It was like a brand new school, and
Yeah.
there was no one above me in the years because it was new. Until I left, it was a full school. But they had the record in year 7. They had the recording studio, and they didn't have a music teacher till year 8. So I got free reign on the recording studio, and it was Cubase 5 at the time. So you just turned the Mac on, but there's no password. So I managed to get in and just mess around at school. And they let me in because he knew that was like my thing. So and then they had this sort of like rock project, rock school thing, and he started playing with people. And then obviously that's when it sort of went into more bars and clubs after that. Um, in Swindon. Um, and yeah, it was all like pop punk, rock at like my teenage years. Um, And then I got to like the name of my school, and I started playing a band called the Starkers. Do you remember them? I
Vaguely,
think
yeah.
I think you must have been like last year of your undergrad or something. But they're originally called Dirt Royal, and they asked me to join them, but they lived in Brighton, and
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was in GCSEs. They're like, oh yeah, we're gigging 4 times a week. I'm like, yeah, it's sick. Yeah, it's just great. But that was like that band was like my first band to really go out and play.
Yeah.
The Starkers, but we hit. I was in college, so I had more of a license really to do that. But the band before with Felix, we done all right to be fair. That was some cool music. We did get asked to. I don't know if you know this. We got asked to play for the Wombats after show party in Brixton on the day of like GCSE physics or something.
Oh right. So what you
And
do?
I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And my dad was like, yeah, you don't need physics. That's cool.
Love it.
But I think everyone else's parents were a bit like shady about it. So it didn't happen in the end. I was just be like, but whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, college, sixth form college, obviously done music tech and music. I done business as well actually for a year. I stayed in college for 3 years. I done extra year and just played. And really sort of got into a little bit of jazz. Not like as much as I know now, but like a bit of like, oh yeah, what is it? I didn't
Mm.
really delve into it. I just listened, and I listened to a lot of like Miles Davis, like later albums, because that was when it went a bit like rock fusiony and a bit weird.
Mm. Yeah.
And you got Tony on there is really good. Like he's like really creative, but you can tell he's like blended between different styles and language. Um, so that sort of stuff came around, and that came with the recording as well. Like, what year was that recorded, and how did they record it? And then I played with a band called the AK Poets, which were all right, and they were gigging like 4 times a week,
Right. Okay.
and that was paid. That was regularly paid stuff. That was original music in pubs, which was I don't know how they've done that, but I started driving, so I really started getting more gigs, way more gigs, and I actually done an album with them in a day. I done a 12-track album in a day,
Wow, that's pretty intense.
and I only just got the CD 5 years later. Like I literally
Wow.
got it the other week. They sent it to me the other week, but it's been out all this time. I think he's moved to like France or Holland now. But the bass player still lives in Swindon. He said, "You got a copy of this?" I was like, "I need one." But it sounds really good. So I was like, "Wow, I must have been 18, 19, and I bashing out 12 tunes. It's like Americana stuff. Like
Mm.
it's cool though, but yeah, that really took me on the road a little bit, like sort of going around. And then yeah, after that I moved to London. I'd done 3 years of BIM, drum tech. Um, yeah, that just really studying technique, live performance, composition, music tech. It's wicked course, wicked tutors, and they had professionals come in all the time. Like so I had a lesson with Steve Jordan, all the gospel guys, and it was like yeah, wicked. Um, and it's a great course. It's a small place, so it's good. It used to be drum tech, so it's like all the old tutors are still there, like Eric Stams. But yeah, first year I was like, I really need to get out and be on the London scene because it's wicked being at BIM an institution, but um, the other side of it, you don't go out and see what the real world is,
Yeah.
or the real music. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go into this jam. I'm gonna go to Denmark Street. There used to be a place called the Alley Cat, and it was
I played
underneath.
there. It's a
Yeah,
really cool venue. Yeah.
yeah. So I knew it because I did play once. I forgot who with. It was a band from Swindon, but it was once. But I went there. There's a blues jam every Wednesday, and these guys were hardcore blues players. And it was like, yeah, you guys are shedding. And I could play a shuffle, but I couldn't do a Texas shuffle or double shuffle. I could just do the shuffle on my right and kick snare.
Mm.
And I could play, but I was a bit timid. I was like, oh, okay, I'm here. These guys probably come here every week, which it did. That was it. That was their life, And it was like someone was, oh yeah, cool man, this is cool. And then someone approached me saying, oh, you seem like a sound drummer. And I was chatting to him, and he's more into the indie thing. I was like, I like Echo and the Bunnymen and stuff like that. And then I started playing with this group. They're called Learn to Swim. Really early on, and they were cool. They sort of like, I wouldn't say amateur, but they had an LP out on a record label. Can't remember which record label. It was cool. And they sold it at Banquet Records in Kingston, which are wicked. So I played with them a little bit, and they had this gig in the summer, and it was Sophie Ellis Bextor was playing, and it was opposite her house. It was like in this park, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're like supporting her." I was like, "Wow, really?" So it was like Sophie Ellis Bextor, Ed Hardcore, he's a really good singer-songwriter, and then us and a few other people, and they had a big band on that. And I got that pretty early on, and I moved here. This is wicked. And after that jam, I kept going back to that blues jam, and I got better, and I knew people, and I started going to other jams, like the funk jams. There used to be a funk jam in Highbury and Islington that used to go until 3 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Oh wow! Especially
And
for a weekday night.
yeah, man. Like, and the cool thing is, every hour they change style. So you do reggae, like funk. You do the jazz bit, fusion. There'd be tunes they'd call. But then they do like jazz tunes, but make them funk.
Right. Okay.
So they do like "Fly Me to the Moon" with the backbeat on 3, like a one drop, like a reggae one drop, and they just call it. But that'd start at like 10, it'll go on to 3, and they had the license for it as well. And then you just start meeting people in the scene. So yeah, I done my degree, and I kept doing these jams, and that's how I got the gigs really. For me, like, I met a lot of people in my undergrad, but there's only one guy I still play with regularly, who I give him gigs and he gives me gigs, and we gig together. All the works actually come outside of the undergrad, you know.
Interesting. That's really interesting to hear, actually. Do you think, like, for any musician that's trying to make it in, the music scene in the UK, do you think it's essential to move to London so you can network with those sort of musicians? Like, how much do you think that's helped?
Um, Thing is, I wasn't going to move to London originally. I was going to go to Liverpool.
Right. Yeah. I
I
remember
got to
that.
live. Yeah, I was desperate to go to Lipa.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a Lipa is, it's the Paul McCartney uni, and that
Mm.
used to be his old grammar school. He bought his old grammar school out and turned it into a music school. But I went up, and they weren't interested in if I could play in 7, if I could play in 9, or if I could read. Or they cared about the reading, but they were like, "Oh, we want to hear you play like really good backbeat and know like grade 7 theory." And I was like, "Well, I know my theory's pretty good, like considering I was doing a classical A level at the time."
Mm.
But they weren't interested. They weren't interested in, "Oh, can you play fusion, or can you play a bit of like Latin, or like other stuff around popular music?" They weren't interested,
It was
and
just
that came
popular
from,
music.
yeah. And I was like, "Do you know what? If I wanted to be a pop drummer, which I am a pop rock drummer. I
Mm.
still consider myself that. But
Yeah.
I was like, I sort of want to go away and learn how to be like the session drummer." I say that because that word is rarely used anymore. I find, like, I think the word session drummer. If you think session drummer, I think Ash Sohn and Vinny straight away, and Ralph Salmons and Ian Thomas. But they're the guys that really hold the chair for that. But that word isn't like the jobbing drummer is used quite a lot around here. It's just someone that works all the time or gigs and teaches. But I think you don't need to move to London. You just got to know what you want to do. You got to have a plan. Like, it's like I moved here and I was like, I want to get better at drums. I want to meet people. I want to gig, and eventually I want to have I want to teach. But I'm going to put that on the back burner until I know my craft a bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I went straight to London, and I was like, I went and got a job as a pack and deliverer for a retail company in Oxford Street, and I had to give it 5, and I finished at like 8. And then I went to go and play whatever tune it was that week. But I think if you move anywhere, you got to have a plan. It's like, I'm at Guildhall at the moment in the postgrad. There's a lot of people that are coming down from Leeds. They've done a 3 or 4 year undergrad at Leeds, and they moved down to London. But they know so many people in Leeds. They're still going back up to Leeds to gig.
It's a bit backwards, isn't it? You want to be building that network in London and moving away from it.
But saying that, when I moved here, I was still going back to Swindon for gigs.
That's true. I suppose it's where the work is. You're not going to say no to paid work, right? So
yeah, you still got to keep your hands in the pies.
yeah.
And then what I was doing, it was like, this is Swindon, this is London. I was sort of throwing not the connections, but the workload slowly, and then you just sort of take it with you.
Yeah.
It's like moving from one job to the other, but the transition is like 6 months, I'd say. But I don't think you need to live in London. Like, I think if you're here, it's a lot of competition, obviously, but if you ignore the competition and go, I really want to do this because I love it and I want to make a go of it, and I think that's it, really. Like, I know loads of musicians that moved to Manchester. I know one guy that left BIM, moved back home, and then went to Lipper, and he's doing better in Lipper than he was here, like progress wise.
Right. So it's more about the fit, I guess.
It's the
Like what you're
fit.
looking to do out of it. Yeah.
It's the fit, the type of music you want to do. And when I say type of music, I don't mean like styles. I mean, do you want to be the drummer that jobs, that plays all the time, he plays anything, teaches and records, or do you want to be the more creative one that goes, yeah, I want to write music, whether that be pop music or jazz music or electro or sitting behind my computer, which you can get here, absolutely, but there's a lot of people doing it. So you gotta, it's like, right, how am I going to go about it? Whether they go, I've released an EP from my bedroom and it's on Spotify, go and listen to it, and then you don't gig it.
Yeah, makes it all pointless.
Which of course now it's hard, but it's like, yeah, like, you know, I think you don't. It's a difficult one because I know people that have moved out of London, but they still come in. You'll find that as like the people that spend 10, 15 years here, to like study, then live, then gig, meet loads of people, and then they'll move just outside, or like say within 45 minutes driving. In fact, there's one, I don't know his name. There's one Guildhall shooter that lives in Marlborough.
Oh, really?
Seriously, man. No, there's one guild, and I think he teaches composition, but he's a drummer. I think I met him when I was like at school. Even the head of jazz, he lives in Bath, mate.
Wow, that's a far commute as well. Does he get the train and stuff?
Yeah, get this. So the assistant head of jazz, he's a wicked bass player. He lives in Stroud, mate.
Oh God!
I said,
"Oh, do you take the difficult journey?"
Yeah, I said, "Oh, do you take the A419?" He's like, "How do you know that?" And I just, yeah, I know the area. I mean, he's gobsmacked. But he's like world class bass player. Like, done Jamie Cullum a few times when he just hit off. It's like, yeah, but yeah, that's what I find. People will like do their time and then they move out, but the work is here. But once you know people here, then the work goes elsewhere. So yeah, it's a funny one, really. Balance it up.
Do you think your parents sound like they were really supportive of you? And obviously, like some kids, they want to be a musician, and their parents are like, "You can't do that," right? Do you think that sometimes creates a barrier? And do you think like them being supportive helps you to be as successful as you have been?
So my mum and dad are still supportive today. So even though I'm like doing it myself, like they're always asking. So that helped. But I also think my mum and dad were a bit of inspiration, really, especially the records. Like,
yeah,
I don't know anyone that was listening to The Clash at age 9 or 10.
Gave you a good education.
Yeah, and I wasn't forced into it. It was just there on the table, really, and I just took it. But I think it depends. Like, yeah, I think if someone really wants it, they'll do it. And I think if you tell a young student or even any student that you can't, they'll go and do it just to prove a point. Especially with young kids, they're really resilient. It's like, oh, you can't do that. Oh yeah, I will, and they'll battle it out. They'll really battle it out. Like the kids I teach, they come to me because they want to do it.
Mm. So it's never
Um,
like their parents coming to you saying, "Oh yeah," it's always directly them.
yeah. So basically, the kids I teach, I'm quite lucky because they're all near the same area. Um, and they all go to very good schools, so they want to do it. And sometimes I had one student that had me for 6 weeks, and that was it. They found out about me through the guy that gives sort of employs me a little bit. They found out about me, and they went, "Oh, we'll book you every day for 6 weeks." And this is in summer, just because they went, "Oh, we wanted to get a grade 8 in the summer, just for I think it was like a new school application." And I was like, "Oh, you cool? Is she okay with it every day?" And they're like, "Yeah, she wants to do it." I was like, "Yeah, like that's pretty. I couldn't do that at like 15, 16. I had a drum lesson every day at grade 8. Um, which like for me, I was like, that's hardcore teaching that. Like teaching the last grade 8 syllabus and passing like she got 98 out of 100 on Trinity grade
Wow,
8 in 6 weeks. She was incredible, man. This student was incredible. She taught us a vibraphone in the summer as well and took grade
wow,
6. And
that's
I was like,
amazing.
it's like it's funny. She didn't need me there. I said to the parents, I said, as much as I love seeing your daughter progress, you don't need me here.
She's just
But she
so
didn't.
driven. She just learns it all. Yeah,
But at that age, at like 15, 16, you love to play, but you don't know the art of practice and how to practice. And that's why I was there.
mm.
It was like it was. Do you know what? I'll be honest. It was more like coaching than teaching.
Interesting. Yeah,
And like I had like with my students, I try not to play the drums. I try not to play the kit. I try to use myself or my voice is really good. Like if you can teach off the drums, then I think that makes a really good teacher. There's some stuff you do need to demonstrate. If you're teaching a 5-year-old how to play Another One Bites the Dust, then you're gonna have to jump on the drums because it's a visual thing. But if you're
yeah.
teaching someone grade 5 to grade 8, or like someone wants to learn like exercises, you can do that off the drums. But when people come to you with that, it's because they want to do it. No matter if you know they've been told they can't, or parents are being supportive or not. You find a lot of the schools push as well. They go to a good school, and I'm not talking state or private, like just a good school, like
Mm.
that care. They'll be like your son or daughter needs lessons, but you find a lot of kids just pick it up sometimes, just because there's so much going on in the area. Um, they might go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to try this," and then they sort of work out themselves. I had one student that came through with a song, and he said, "I learned it on YouTube," and it's like, "Oh, it's going that way, is it now?" You
Yeah,
type
it's
in how do you play that, and it's like, yeah, when I was at school, and I'm sure when you were, you never thought about that. You just watched YouTube for like all the like Blink 182 like official music videos.
I mean, I used to watch a lot of drummer performances, but these days, that like you said, there's a video to learn to play every song, and there's someone that's filmed all the camera angles, and do you know what I mean? It's the full
Yeah,
thing. And same with guitar, like there's so much of that content out, so it's changed the game a little bit in a way, hasn't it?
yeah. I suppose like if a child didn't have like or a student just didn't have a supportive background, that's their way.
Yeah.
That is their way, you know. And the funny thing is, it's free. It's free, you know. I just downloaded some stuff of this guy called Jake Reed. So check him out. He's LA based. He's got a home studio which is nuts. There's a guy who's doing a tour of his home studio, and it's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's just like, man, but he's an amazing drummer, and he graduated from the music academy there, and he had Peter Erskine as his teacher.
Oh wow.
He's a dude, and there's a video of him and Peter playing.
Mm.
But yeah, he's a wicked drummer. He teaches, and he mainly just does all this home recording stuff. Um, and he's got an album out, and it's like funk jazz, and it's proper up my street. It's like there's one tune called "Welcome Home" Reprise, and it's almost like fusiony, like Wackle almost, but it's really stripped down. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you can have the play along on my of the track. It's on my website." I was like, "I'm totally getting that. That's wicked." Because all the charts attached as well, so it's not a long chart. It's like 20 bars or something, but it's like, yeah, it's great reading. That's great reading, and also it has all the chords on the top. So it's like, yeah, if I take that to my band, they're gonna play that because it's all there. But he just went, yeah, here's that on a plate, and here's the stems without the drums. Go and record it, and then send it to me. Like, and that's just there. It's like I know people that charge like £7 for that
Mm.
because it's like the recording, the stems, and the chart, which is the chart's work.
It's a lot of work to create
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
but like he's like, yeah, have this. I was like, that's amazing. That's pretty cool. And then you can use obviously it's practice for me, and it's practice for people that want to get into like playing that sort of style and that sort of thing.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely changed. So talking about change, like briefly, how have you had to adapt to the current restrictions with COVID? Obviously, like throughout last year and going into this year.
So it's the online word which I'm so bored of. When you say online, it's like I'm constantly online. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
um, so yeah, Zoom, innit? Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, whatever you want to, stick your face on, really. So Zoom seems to be the one for me, the best one. I don't know what it is. It's just way better. It's pretty easy to work in terms of screen sharing. So I've taken my teaching online and I've taken my masters online. The masters online is pretty good. So from May, I should have done a mid-year recital. So basically, I had to arrange some tunes. You could choose any. You got given 4 artists, and they went right. You can take any of those tunes, but you got to arrange them. But you had to provide a lead sheet and the score. But you could do them however you want. It didn't have to be jazz. It didn't have to be like this, that, and the other. So I just went, who are my favorite drummers at the moment? I was like, yeah, Bill Stewart, Philly J, Ari Honan, and Stanton Moore. And I just done tunes in those sort of styles of drummers. Wrote out the score, and then what they done, you sent the score, and then they got 2 professors to record it, and then they sent you the stems back. Well, they actually just sent a file back, and the tempo, and you put it in. But I asked for the stems. I was like, no, I'm not. I asked for the stems, and then you just recorded over the top because everyone has pretty much got a mic. Who's studying there? I was like, yeah, I can do the whole thing. So I've done that. I mixed it all, sent it back off, and that was like my first year's masters online. But I kid you not, like the feedback I got, they said, "Oh, it sounds like it's all in the same room."
wow.
The
I mean, it
recording,
is.
yeah,
Like,
like I mean, like band and stuff, and like it's a wicked recording. But like I when they first told us this is how you're gonna do your first assessment,
yeah,
so I only get 2 performance assessments, and they're big because usually it's in a massive recital hall, like huge, and it sounds amazing, and it's like, yeah, wicked kit, a
very
wicked
different.
system, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like, and I was so against it. I was like, yeah, no, you can't play like improvised music like on Logic to a click, which I can do, but I was like, well, you can't. So, oh, okay. But then I sort of slept on it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I was like, yeah, do you know what? This gives me an excuse to get some more microphones.
yeah.
So, and then I'd done it, and then it sounded wicked, and then I was like, yeah, that's a really good way. And after that, I started doing some other stuff like remote. More. That's why I do more remote stuff now because of that. Because
Mm.
it was hard because there was a lot of time change as well, and it was my own fault. But like in terms of like getting taught, it's been really good. In terms of me teaching, um, I I don't prefer it, but I like the balance of it. So before this other lockdown, I had half online and half in person, which was okay. Um, but I had 2 students move out of London, and they were like, no, we're really happy with Zoom, which is great. But what I need is the student to have like all their content ready, like music. So music on the stand, any backing tracks they might want to use, or they need to send them to me, so I play them through my computer. Then yeah, sure. And what I've also found, I've been transcribing loads. Like my Sibelius subscription is truly worn, or like I've got my money's worth.
Yeah.
So like even like I was transcribing a Beatles song the other day, and I just bashed it out. And what I do is I put the times of each film. So like in the music, if it's like 1 minute 20, I'll put that in a bracket. If they
Right.
want to learn that film, what I do, I send them the YouTube link of the song, and I said, oh yeah, I tell them one student, you do know you can slow YouTube down? They're like, really? And like that's the best way to learn the fills and stuff.
I
That's
used to
my
do that
getting.
all the time.
Yeah, that's like there's an app actually called the Amazing Slow Downer, which is the most stupidest name, but for 20 quid, it's so worth it because the quality. I don't know what they've done, but the quality, like, it doesn't like drag the sound out, or
Oh
like,
wow.
or the bit rate doesn't go. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I do,
when you
because
slow
when you
it
slow that
down,
normally, it's like lower quality. It goes to like 8 bits sometimes, right?
yeah.
Sounds really
But
weird.
this you can hear the note. The note drags, but the bit rate doesn't go. So it's like you're transcribing like I don't know. So like you put the Mars Volta on, and you put that onto half speed. Like that's how you'd write it down and then play it, and then you just bump it up 10% every time, and then bang, you've got it. But this process of like me writing out a song, sending it to a student, then we talk about it, and usually they put the YouTube or the Spotify on their computer, and then they take their time. We can talk about it. And then I've just done a new YouTube, so I've got my sort of own one for performing, and I've done a tuition one. So at the moment, I'm on grade 3. I've played all the grades through mic, camera, and I'm editing them all of them. So because I got a range of students doing different things, I've just put it's like almost like a teaching hub or a resource hub.
Right, that's good.
And then I'm like, yeah, if you're stuck, watch that.
Mm.
And then there's a few private links where this Beatles song I've done, I'm teaching it to a few people. So I've just gone, yeah, I've just based it on a lesson, like a pre-recorded lesson under the mics. So I played the song, chatted, talked about a few things. But what I'll do like 2 or 3 lessons online talking about it. And then I'll be like, right, we're ready to move on. If you want to look back at it, here's the links. So really sort of like prep me, like doing the online thing. And I got material now, which is going forward. But playing music online is cool. I've done a few of them, like sort of like remote videos, like performance videos.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
I did a big band one, and that was a pain in the backside, man. That was hard work, and no one used mics, so we all used the phones.
Oh God.
So putting an 18-piece big band with phones all on Final Cut, I thought my computer was gonna explode. Oh, it was cool though, because like we had some guy, for a friend of ours. He had to move back to New Zealand, so we sent him. This is funny. I sent him here's the rhythm section, so drums, bass, guitar, and piano. No,
Yeah.
he was piano. He was piano actually, so it's just drums, bass, guitar. I just put those 3 videos together. I couldn't send him the audio because it was all on video, so I just sent him those 3 videos, I put them together, and then he sent them back. But his bit rate, I don't know what it is in New Zealand or something, or in the phone end, his bit rate was higher than iPhone. So I was like, yeah, this is the final piece is here. Yeah, throwing it in, and it's just like he's like miles ahead, but at the start he's in time, and I'm like, what's going on? And my mate's gone, oh mate, yeah, you looked at his bit rate. Yeah, you should look at his bit rate. And I'm like, there's me looking it up, and then I got it down, and then it's like 4:30 in the morning. I was like, this needs to go because I've had enough. And like, yeah, I thought my Mac was gonna explode, but and then I was like, yeah, do you know what? If I've got mics, I need to use that because it's less pressure on the computer once you've done the audio. But a lot of that's been done, which has been cool. I did 2 albums online in October and November,
Interesting, isn't it? How
which
that's like
was
the new
good.
norm for recording.
Yeah, which was
Mm.
cool because I did a Christmas album for a singer. I play with him regularly actually. He's called Richard Hatfield. and he won Britain's Got Talent in like I think it was 2014 or 2015 with a boy band like called Calabro, but they did musical theatre tunes. They're still going, but he left. He's pretty cool as a singer. He's quite versatile because he can do all the MT stuff. He likes a little bit of opera. He's got a wicked voice for rock. He's got a really like loud voice, but he started learning jazz. So it's like great. You can do a lot. So we done this Christmas album, and then we went mad. He sold all the copies, and then we did a gig. We did a gig just before this lockdown, and that gig was like well and truly sold out with social distancing. And then he did a live stream as well on top of that, and that like it was like loads of people. It was crazy, you know. But I think the live stream for gigs, that's going to keep happening. Like I think after lockdown and things start to sort of get, because it won't be back how it used to be. I don't think.
I think so as well. I think it's going to take a long time, but like a lot of these new things are here to stay for sure.
Yeah. So like, if you have a live performance, I reckon they'll be like, right, yeah, they'll do like in person and they'll do online tickets.
Yeah. No, I
because
agree.
it's more. So it's like you want to go see like I don't know. Let's take a British band's. It's to the Wombats because they had a new album out. And the singers just released a load of solo stuff. So say the Wombats playing like O2 Oxford or something like that, and it was sold out. But then they'd be like, right, they got online tickets for 15 quid. You're sort of capitalising on it, aren't you?
Yeah, it makes sense. And then they can stream it all in like really high quality, put it everywhere, and people will pay for that if it's really good, won't they?
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm in Australia. I want to watch that. Great,
Yeah.
I'm up.
So you got to see it as a positive in that sense, because obviously it makes music more accessible for people all over the world, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, no, I do think it might when it does sort of find its way. I do think everything's going to boom a little bit. I think everyone's going to be like, I'm craving like there'll be like a demand for it.
Just face-to-face interaction and proper live
Yeah,
gigs, you know, like small venues. I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. I think it'll be like, oh, what's going on, and then it will happen. I think it will just go bang.
Let's hope so. That's a positive sort of outlook for the future. But anyway, Callum, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, dude.
I wish we had more time, but I'm looking forward to when we can do a proper session with both the drum kits in the field again.
Yeah, man.
We'll record that and have you on for that.
I've still got that kit as well, you know.
Yeah, still got it.
Yeah, I use it in the drum room. I still think it's got the heads on, like the Evans heads. Yeah, I've not
Still
changed it
going
at all. Yeah, man.
Nice. Okay. All right. Cheers, guys, and thanks for your time, Callum. See you next time.
Pleasure, man.